So, and that gets us into discard, and how we deal with that.
So you didn't deal with it, which I've learned, and
I
yeah,
went, I
you
went
lost.
3-2.
Did you get an Ursula?
I did.
Welcome in, JP Brothers Cards. We're back with another video talking about Disney Lorcana. We're going to get you guys ready for this next set championships that are coming up or have already started. And we got to help you with one big problem that's been tasking the Lorcana community. How do you stop a discard deck? Right, Jason?
You tell me, man. You're the one that plays discard.
I do. I jumped right on the bandwagon and I love it. But you have found a way to stop it, and we're gonna run with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that a little bit later. I would definitely say I have adopted someone else's way, and I love it. But yeah, we'll get to that.
I think anyone does is original anymore. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, I think first, why don't I talk about the deck that I played?
Let's go through the list. Let's see what you put together here, because this is not your what we're gonna call it. You kind of only played Steel and Song. You played Steel and Song in Chicago, and now you have changed course and you're playing Steel Amethyst.
Yeah.
All right.
It is Friday. The tournament I played was yesterday, was Sunday, and I was watching some of the Germany Bochum Disney Lorcana Challenge. I wasn't really watching it religiously at all. Like, it was just kind of a game here and there when I could. And I managed to catch round 9, which was this deck versus a discard deck, this purple steel. And I watched it, and I've never played the color combination before. I've never even like at all, like tested it at all. But the way the deck was being played, I was like, oh my God, this is my play style. And I think we talked about this in the last couple videos we did about set champs, was like, it's about finding a good deck in the meta that also suits your personality, that also suits your play style. I've played discard, I've played Ruby Sapphire, I've played Steel Song, or tried to, in this meta. And like, the problem with the meta decks right now, I find, is they don't suit my personality. And so I'm playing them, but I know intuitively, like, I'm making decisions I don't want to make and I'm not enjoying myself. This was a deck that locked me into a playstyle that I enjoy, and that ended up being pretty successful.
Amazing, amazing.
Honestly, it felt, after playing a lot of this, set 4, it felt really nice to find something that clicked right at the last second.
Well, that is, yeah, Friday to Sunday is a big, like, you had 2 days to prep, right? And you do speak about practice all the time, practice your deck. You must have not had that much time to do it, right?
Well, the first time I played this deck was game 1 of the tournament I played yesterday.
Practice out the window. Just
Practice, like,
run into it.
I had to borrow 3 cards from a buddy at 11 p.m. Jonty, he's been on the channel before. 11 p.m. the night before, I was at his apartment picking up cards to put into this deck.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
We'll run through the actual cards involved. So 6 1-drops, 4 Chernobog's Followers, 2 Robin Hood. Chernobog's great to get the cycling going and start drawing. Usually like a lore, and then you get your out of them every time. Robin Hood is good to activate Madam M Snake, or if you're in an aggro matchup, to have the body and then trade and then get him off the board if he survives. We have Madam M Snake, solid 2-drop, 3/3 body, pretty easy to get activated. And when you don't have the activation, we have 4 other 2-drops, 2 Mistress Me, 2 Magic Broom that gains evasive on our own turn, helps deal with Bucky, helps deal with any other evasive stuff going on. And then another big thing is, getting the Smee in those matchups where you need to go aggro, because that 2 quester is huge. And our 3-drops, some of these Madam Mim Foxes, sometimes we can save Smee after he starts hurting himself. 4 Maleficents, probably 1 too many, but that's fine. Just helping with card draw and cycling. Couple Crabs for versatility. Couple Benjas for item removal in those matchups. Lawrence, 4/4 body when you play him, and Quest for 2. This is a great aggro card. In certain matchups, this could be the difference maker. And that 4/4 challenges like the little Sisus that are, their strength depends on your hand size. Like that 4/4 is really strong for that initial trade. And then another card that we can save either with a Madame and Fox or maybe potentially with a Bell if someone just puts a little bit of damage on him to stop his strength from popping off. In the 4 slot, goats and rabbits, no explanation needed. The strongest draw from rabbit and the best way to get lore outside of questing with goat.
Yeah.
Bell, 2 of tech card, move up to 3 damage from one creature to or one chosen character to another chosen character. Awesome card. Super situational. Never minded throwing her in the inkwell. Never minded getting a good playoff with her. Same with Chen Po. This is a huge body. 4/7 is massive. Eats a Maui, no problem. All of the other big kind of like strong, challenging characters usually challenge for 4 to 5. And so that extra hit Chen Po requires, awesome. Protects all your little stuff. We got Tinkerbell 4 of, I think a must in this meta with all the Buckies and all the evasive stuff going on. I opted, or not I opted, but the option here is not to have Baboom, is to have Smash. Friends on the other side, more draw. Zeus, more removal. The only song we're playing for removal and can be sung by those rabbits, which is really how you want to be using it. A couple grab your swords. Only 2, but we're drawing so much that we usually find it. And then Queen's Castle, really strong card in the right moment can just break the game.
Right.
It's so hard to remove one location. If you get a couple down in the right spot, you fully won.
We got to okay, let's break. So there's a breakdown of all the cards, but I do have a couple follow-up questions that I just wanted to let you finish. So first one is, what is a perfect 7-card hand to you? If you were to mulligan and if you could just pick which 7 cards of this deck you wanted to start in your hand, what would they be?
The cool thing about this deck and the reason why I like it so much is there isn't 7. This deck is matchup to matchup. You play to the opponent, not to your own cards only, which I felt was the problem in this set. Every single matchup, I adjusted my draw strategy, adjusted my mulligan strategy, adjusted my play strategy, and that felt so rewarding.
Okay.
So
let's break it down. Let's go further. This is what the people want to hear,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'm facing a Ruby Sapphire deck. You know what they have in their deck. They're Tomoa. You're going to use Sisu. You know what they're looking for in their 7 cards to start. So what are you looking for against a Ruby Sapphire?
Ruby Sapphire, pure aggro.
Pure aggro.
You want to
So
go
you're
as
trying
fast
to
as
go
possible. Get to a point where they can't stop me goading for the win. They're going to remove stuff for sure, but they're not going to do it till turn 4 or 5. If I'm lucky, turn 6. And so we want to be 12, 13 lore, right in that pocket of like goat bounce, 14, goat bounce 16, quest something, you know what I mean? You want to be in that pocket of like go, 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 go.
I like it. And then again, we're going to talk about this discard deck that we're trying to stop the momentum of, and that is Emerald Steel. So how are we what are we looking for? 7 cards against Emerald Steel.
We're gonna save Emerald Steel for the end because I wanna do like a full breakdown of how to play against it. And I think for this deck and for Ruby Amethyst, I've got some tips for you that I think are gonna help. But we'll give discard its own little block because it's so specific.
Yep, sounds good.
Into an aggro matchup, you want to be using those foxes, right? Use your 2-drop to trade and survive. Fox, get another trade out. And so you're double trading on turn 3, which is really strong. Rush. Sapphire Steel is a very 50-50 matchup. Benja and the Quill, if you happen to get it, is really useful. Also, you want to go a little bit aggro. You don't need to focus draw in that matchup as much because they're going to use Whole New World. So you can actually just focus going quick and not worry about your resources as much. And then I guess Ruby Amethyst is the other big contender, one of the strongest decks in the meta right now. And this deck, you just have to be weary of Whole New World. and manage the board. So don't go too wide, and keep playing, keep drawing. You need to keep pace with them for resources in hand. That's kind of how you win out. And then getting value from trades when you can as well.
Nice. Okay, good stuff. That's I think that's a good breakdown of the deck. I don't mind jumping to the discard after. We'll put a whole section on that. That's fair enough. Um, so you go to your set championship on Sunday. This is the first time you've played this deck is in game one. And how was that tournament? Like, did that make the tournament like more difficult for you, or did you find that something else potentially did? Like, where's your head at in terms of how that tournament went?
So there weren't a lot of Sunday tournaments for set championships. Ravensburger changed the rules. All of the set champs had to be played on weekends only. Most game stores put their tournaments on Saturdays, so those filled up. But on the Sundays, because there were so few available, people were flocking from different areas. So this
Oh,
was a 34-person tournament, which is fairly large.
oh,
It was pulling in people like over an hour away in every direction. We even had like someone from the States who came up for it because it was the first one they saw available, and they just signed up and said, "I'm going to go." So
that's incredible.
yeah, and I was talking to a few people at the tournament. They'd been playing in Detroit the day before, even. Like, so people are traveling for these.
Yeah.
I would say London, Ontario is one of the harder, more competitive areas in Ontario. They've been running tournaments consistently the whole time. So that scene is already fairly competitive. And then we were pulling in people from Sarnia, including the #2 finisher from Chicago, Jordan Moore. Great player. He brought a really cool lemon lime deck. So we had all of these strong players, bunch of players from the GTA, from Toronto area, Kitchener. Like, so I feels like we just pulled in all the stronger people that were more willing to sign up for as many tournaments as possible, put them all in a room and duked it out, kind of southern Ontario battle royale.
Love it. I love it. And so I know, I mean, just based on that, we can assume that that is tougher than, let's say, the last couple set championships you played in when you were chasing the Stitch card. Would you agree?
Yeah, it was all of the people that I had to beat that time around, and then all these other additional good people.
Yeah.
It just scaled it.
Yeah. Sorry, just clearing my throat there.
Yeah. I'll say it was also a 6-round tournament. So many people went 4-2, which is a great score, and got cut off.
Wow.
Yeah. The top 6 were 4-1-1 or 4-0-2. So 4 wins, 2 draws, or 4 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. And
You
then
couldn't lose.
people were just duking it out for those last 2 spots.
You really couldn't lose. Like one loss really hurt you. That is, or one extra loss, like that is incredible, right? So you really needed to be at your best, and you came out on top.
No, I lost my first match.
You lost your first match.
First match, I played a guy who, I mean, they're a great player. They've been really putting in the work, really practicing, really brought a good deck. I've played them a bunch of times. I knocked them out of the quarterfinals of this same stores tournament last time around with a complete, like, they were playing a completely different deck. So they've pivoted and are still a very good player. So we had a great best of 3 match, real, duke it out. And he got the better of me. It was awesome. It was my first time playing the deck. I probably made a few mistakes. He played really well though. So I went into round 2 like, cool, I need to win every other game.
Well, you might have not known that at the time, but maybe you assumed, or maybe.
No, I think with these tournaments you kind of know. You got to go almost perfect.
So game 2, what kind of deck are you playing? Who did you play, and did you win?
Uh I did win, thankfully. That
Making
was
this video unless you won some games, right?
Yeah. So that was the only loss of the Swiss round, was that first one. I played Ruby Amethyst next. Game 1 went my way, game 2 went their way. And so those were pretty definitive. Game 3 was a bit more back and forth, but I got there in the end. It even went it went like right to the full time limit essentially. Like it was a rough long match. good player from Sarnia, again, out of towner, coming in, making things harder. Really fun person to play with, and we had a good time. But yeah, I got there in the end.
Nice, nice. All right, and yeah, like we want to run through all the games, or do you just
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
have anything in particular that stood out?
In that matchup, no, it's you gotta be a little bit lucky with your draws, and you gotta be a little bit efficient with your resources. Next match was a mirror matchup. I won the dice roll to go first, and I think that probably decided it. That person was on same deck as me. They're playing a more aggressive version, which was challenging for my deck. But we battled it out. It was good. I actually learned a lot playing against this person playing my colors.
Yeah.
He he also built the deck the day before and was playing it for the second time ever.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
but another really good player. We both top forward a tournament last time around. Like he's really, really good. And so we went back and forth. Like shout out to Alex. He taught me a bunch about my deck while I was playing it.
Amazing.
Awesome match. Round four, I played Jordan Moore, which was the number two finisher from Chicago. He's playing this discard song deck with muses and Ursulas and all this stuff going on. It was just no idea what I'm facing the whole time. Did no research on that deck color combination, nothing. And we went game one really, game one my way, game two his way. Game three came down to like he goes to 15, I go to 16, he goes to 17, I go to 18, he goes to 19, I go to 20. Like it was blah 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 right at the end. We kept having to respond to the other person's board to keep lethal off board while inching closer.
Wow,
Um,
that's crazy.
yeah, like one mistake either one of us made, a micro mistake somewhere earlier in the game probably cost him the matchup or would have cost me. Like it was so close. He's a really, really good player on a really interesting color combination. He ended up top eighting as well, with tie breaks and stuff. But yeah, that was a slog. We went to turns in the final in game three, went to turns and I beat him like literally as my dice hit turn four right before it was my last turn. I could have played it like just as close as
Oh,
it could have been.
yeah.
Round five, I get demolished game one by an aggro purple steel deck, but it's like Brooms and Yen Sid.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
He was playing like Bayou and other locations I've never seen before. I have no idea what he's doing. Crushes me.
Oh,
I was like, cool, game two. All right, now I know you're aggro, right? And that's the matchup. I don't understand how your deck works, but I know how to deal with aggro. And so fully adjusted my playstyle strategy, and then I pretty confidently beat them 2 games in a row after that.
great. So
Um,
knowing your opponent definitely helps.
oh, that's a huge, and that's something I like about this deck is it can be because there's enough variety in it, you can be reactive with how you play. And so that really helped me for games two and three. Game five was an intentional draw. Or sorry, round six was an intentional draw. There was just no need. We both won four, one intentional draw. We both get into the top eight. Let's just get into top eight. Another really good player, though. I've played them a bunch of times. I've beat them in the finals of like two different tournaments. Like this person's consistently in the mix to win. I was happy to not play them and not stress out for another hour.
Because if you lose, then you don't make it.
If one of us loses, we probably don't make it.
Great.
If we both draw, we just both definitely do make it.
Okay.
So for everyone involved, once you get to that point where you can guarantee yourself a spot in the top cut, just do it
Yeah.
because I got to eat for the first time that day. I got to go to the wash. There was no breaks, and all of my rounds went to 3 games. So I just was like, go to the next game, go to the next. I needed that mental break so bad.
Perfect.
So it was awesome. Quarterfinals. Finally faced discard. Handedly beat it. Go to the semifinals. Semifinals against someone. This is the rival I've had, I'd say, for the last kinda for the last few set champs. We played 4 set champs last time, each of us. We both have 4 stitches. We both have 3 mats. We both knocked each other out of a semifinals.
Wow.
We both like it, it's exactly even across the board. Tip to his scale now because he got me in this semifinals. One lore in game three was the difference.
Oh
Uh,
no.
yeah, it was not just one lore. Like I was one lore shy. He was also one lore. He also had exactly the amount of lore he needed to win. Like I could remove two of his questing, but not three, and I need to remove three kind of thing. So it was exactly the amount. He went to 17, and I couldn't stop from getting 20. I went to 19, and then he won.
Uh,
Just razor thin margin.
wow.
But yeah, it was the first two times I played discard of the day was those last two matches. One that I crushed and one that I very, very good matchup.
Very nice. Cool. So is this a good time to get into discard then after that? So knowing you did lose to it, maybe I hyped it all up a little bit too much that you have completely found a way to demolish it, that discard. They obviously are still very strong.
Yes.
And we've gone over the fact that you yourself did not come up with the strategy that you are using a deck that you saw someone use. But I will say it takes that's like you're watching games in Germany, that's research. You are doing research to better your own game. And I consider that myself, you doing the work.
Can I tell you what I did to figure out what this person was playing? Because I don't know if this deck list is exactly what Kevin DeLima, who I saw in round 9 of Bachram, was playing, because the deck lists aren't out. I was pausing the stream for his during his shuffle and
Oh
trying to
my.
figure out, zoom in, what cards. I had a little pad of paper and I was marking down how often I saw a card. And this is how I ripped off his deck list, watching stream, did everything possible to learn his deck. Because I was like, this is the deck I want to play.
I can't believe you did that.
It worked.
Oh my God.
I was in it. I could just, after playing this game for so many months and not having fun, finding a deck I knew would have fun with was like, I was like, I'm invested. I want this. I want this.
You understand what you've just done is now at these big tournaments, they're going to have a box that you can shuffle your cards in. So the camera can't see you shuffle. Actually, maybe you need to see them shuffle.
I wasn't playing in the tournament. It didn't affect him. He's from Portugal.
Yeah, but somebody is going to do that who is playing in the tournament now that they know they can do it.
I mean, maybe.
That's you know,
So
it's not cheating, but you open the door to cheating.
I opened the door for somebody else, so I'm not walking through it.
Yeah, yeah.
I intensely went after this deck list, and I think I got close. I'm at 62 cards, so I probably messed something up, but it's very close.
Well, like you said, like if you got rid of a I never say this name right, Maleficent. Um, like to me, that's like yeah, when you play this, you draw a card, but if you don't need to play a 3 cost 2/2, you take 2 of those out of your deck. You know what I mean?
I would say the draw from Maleficent is actually required. I probably would go down one Smash and down one Along Came Zeus.
So just you don't. So I'm obviously not as good as you, but if you were to have that card Maleficent in your hand,
Mhm.
but if that card wasn't in the deck, you would just have the next card, and that is the equivalent of the draw.
Well, here's the thing. That's called cycle. Cards that all they do is replace themselves. She cycles while also hitting the board.
Yes, I understand the hitting the board, but that's what I'm saying. Like if you didn't want to play a 2/2 3 cost card,
But
right?
the thing is, like, if you look at how many two ofs I'm running, two Benja, two Chenpo, two Bell, two Smee, two Lawrence, two Grab Your Swords. The reason I want to cycle is because I'm running less of the cards I need to win, and I want to find the cards I need to win more consistently. So
Yeah.
by just running through my whole deck over and over and over again, she enables that. But I agree, probably one of them you could drop.
Yeah, just a thought.
And that gets us into discard. And how we deal with that.
So you didn't deal with it, which I've learned, and
I
yeah,
went I
you
went
lost.
3-2.
Did you get an Ursula?
I did.
You're an Ursula.
Yeah, well,
And,
top four.
Handing out prizes for fourth place.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous. I want to see mats. I want to see mats.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. Unfortunately, they didn't have the prizing. There was an issue with Ravensburger, so I have to like go pick it up later on, like next week or something. But yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Anyways, let's talk about discard. Let's give the people what they want. If you're watching this, if you want to beat discard and this helps you, please like and subscribe. Trying to grow the channel, and I understand how frustrating that matchup can be. However, I'm going to add the caveat: if you are beating a discard player and you win the game, don't also complain about discard. Because you watch these people and people are just like verbally just like, I hate your deck, I hate your deck, I hate your deck. Hey, I just 2-0'd you. Chill out.
Right. Yeah. That's a great point, because if you find a way to beat them, you want them to keep playing it. You actually want to promote discard decks because you know you can beat it.
Don't be a salty winner.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Discard strategy for this deck and for Ruby Amethyst. Everyone knows what discard's trying to do. They're trying to prevent you from playing the game, right? If you don't have any cards, you can't play the game. Guess what, folks? If they don't want you to play the game, don't play the game. Turn 1, ink, play nothing. Turn 2, ink, play nothing. Turn 3, ink, play nothing. And that's the strategy. If I wasn't playing a card that replaced itself or drew more cards, play nothing. I was consistently turn 1 pass, or if I could play turn to box followers, which was quest 1 replace himself, I would do that because that is cycle and it's a free lore basically. I would play Maleficent on turn 3 if I had her, because again, she immediately replaced herself, so it's a net 0. If I had in my hand Friends on the Other Side and I had a Maleficent, I would hard cast Friends on the Other Side. I wouldn't sing it. I wouldn't try to play her and then sing it next turn. No. I would just play the Friends on the Other Side, draw 2 cards, because Maleficent is net 0. Friends on the Other Side is net +1. You play Friends, you lose a card, you gain 2 cards with the draw, you're up 1. And that is how I was beating discard, which was just letting them try to discard my hand. And then as soon as I could, I turned on the rabbit engine and I was like, cool, rabbit, draw a card, replaces itself. And when it comes off the board, replaces itself again. So if they removed it, that's a net +1. If they didn't remove it, fox or snake, rabbit back in my hand, draw a card, now +1 again. 0 because of the card I played, and then boom, drop the rabbit again, and you keep that cycle going where you're just drawing. The thing to remember about the current discard meta is Bucky quest for 1, Aladdin quest for 1, Jafar Juggernaut quest for 1, Flynn Rider doesn't do anything if you have a full hand. There's Robin Hood Shift, Beast Tragic Hero, and Diablo are the only cards you really need to worry about.
Right, because they could potentially be drawing a card every time you draw a card.
Yeah. So Diablo's remove on site, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what the Smashes are for.
Yeah.
If there's a card I could kill with Smash and I don't have another Smash, I'm not killing it.
Right. You're waiting for the card that you need to kill.
It's only Diablo.
Yeah.
Maybe the Ursula 2/3 Singer, the Deceiver of All, where she double sings. But even that, I mean, if I have 5 cards in hand and she makes me discard 2, I still have 3 cards in hand, and the 3 cards I have in hand, I guarantee you are draw cards. Right. And that's how you stabilize, because they're not drawing, really. So they're just slowly trying to run you out of cards and then top deck win against you, or eventually get Diablo down and then outdraw you. So if you just don't play the game, if you just wait, there was in the quarterfinals and semis, I literally played nothing till like that, like aside from like the draw stuff. I think I played like hard cast Grab Your Swords on turn 5, or Tinkerbell turn 6 was like my first real card hitting the board that I expected to stay.
Right.
And then you claw back from there. I was going down 10-0, 14-0, but didn't matter because At 14-0, my Tinkerbell's on the board. You don't want to quest with anything because she's going to hit and remove 2. And I have other removal cards in my hand, and I have more draw, and I'm going to keep drawing, and I'm going to keep finding more removal, and it just slowly starts to pile up.
Yeah, it's you know what? I've played a couple times, and I've been in a position against a discard deck where I've done kind of this similar thing where it's like if I play a card and then I discard a card, I've just lost 2 cards for no reason, right? And and then you get down to 0, and then once you have 0 cards, well, there's no synergy in your hand. It doesn't work together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's I'm glad it didn't work for you. Oh, sorry, it did work for you.
One lore, it was so close.
I know you were. It's brilliant strategy. I hope people can take away from that, because it's not just this deck that you show in front of us on how to play that discard deck. You can play that way with any deck. You just need to have the right strategy going into it, and maybe you can take down that discard deck. I love it. I love finding a way to break the meta.
I think it works for this deck, and I think it works for Ruby Amethyst. Ruby Amethyst, you don't need Flynn and Sisu. That combo that generates lore, you don't need that to win this matchup. You just need to get to turn 6, start meta Medusing people, or turn 7 and be prepping the whole board, right? You don't need to race in these matchups. And I think the thing that gets some people is taking their brain from exactly one playstyle to the exact opposite playstyle with the same deck. Is they just can't see their own cards in a different light. And I think with this, you have to.
Yeah, interesting. There is one thing I did want to say, because I was just like quickly looking at this deck list, and that it's relatively inexpensive, right? Compared to some of the other decks out there, playing a deck like this is it's not going to break the bank compared to these $500-600 decks. And I even see you have one, the Enchanted, down there that's like $100 that you need 4 of them.
Oh yeah, but not actually. Yeah,
But not actually. That's what I'm saying. You don't
yeah.
actually need that card, so it's even cheaper than what's advertised at the top of your page. It's
This is I don't know if people can see the price just because we are.
oh, I
This
see.
is actually this is like $100, $150 deck.
Yeah.
This is the cheapest deck I've played since playing Lorcana.
So I just noticed that and just wanted to add that in, that, sometimes you look at these meta decks and there's a big price tag. Now, I mean, my Diablo is about to drop because I thought it was at $70, the one I have, and now you just made Diablo worthless. Thank you for doing that.
It's still very good.
But I love the fact that you come in with not an expensive deck, and it's like anyone can play. You don't need to have $1,000 deck. You can have $100 deck, and yeah, I love it.
It was really cool. I don't know about 2-game format with this deck. All of my matches went to 3, so I split a lot.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if that was my inexperience with the deck, or if it is a great best of 3 deck because it can adjust, and maybe not the best steamroll deck.
Yeah. I want to get into some tips for other people going into their set championships, maybe people who haven't played them before, maybe people who are second time, third time around at set championships. The only thing is, like, you cannot tell them to make a deck the night before and go play it. You need to give some
That's
real tips here.
It's a bad idea.
Some real tips.
There was many moments where I regretted it. I would say real tips. Check for checks. Do the lore count every turn. Double check. Can I win now? Can I put them in a position where I'm about to win?
Yeah.
Check for ink. How much ink does my opponent have? If they're on 6 ink and they're playing Ruby, are they in a position to B prep me? Do I want to go wide? Do I want to go tall? Those things sound obvious, and they are, but remembering to do them when you're nervous and stressed and thinking about your own hands is tough. If you look at the majority of mistakes people make when they're playing these games, they're saying the thing they want to do, but they have a different card in their hand. Or they have the card in their hand, but they're like they're thinking about what they want to do so much that they've blocked out what they're physically doing, what's going on around them, even their opponent's deck and with the turn they took, because they're so focused on what they're going to do for their turn. When it's your opponent's turn, watch their turn. Try to figure out what they're doing. When it's your turn, figure out what you're going to do. Sometimes it's very obvious. No problem there. But if you're not assessing the game state frequently, you're going to have a really hard time, and you're going to find yourself in positions where maybe you could have played around something that they might have had.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I find the difference of playing a game online versus in person. And online, because everything looks nice and all the math is done for you, and you see all the shiny numbers, and you can see like what lore they're at. You can see how much ink they have. You can see how many cards they have in their hand. You can see all of these things. But when you're in person, you need to be coming up with that information for yourself. You need to be understanding, okay, they only have 2 cards in their hand, or oh, they only have 1 card in their hand, or oh, they just played they just inked, like you said, to get to 6. Well, next turn they ink and can be prepared and wipe the board. So maybe that's not the time to go wide and dump a bunch of cards on the field that might just get destroyed next turn. So I 100% agree, and I think that it's the difference that a lot of people have in this new generation coming up. All these games they play online. My best example of this would be in chess. When you are play chess online, you can click a piece and see all the different places it can go. So when you can click a piece and see all the different spots you could put that piece, it's a lot different than sitting in person and not needing to determine, well, where could this piece go, and then determine where it can go.
All of that workload the computer takes off your brain.
But you don't realize it's doing it potentially. And then you're in person and you go, well, why is this game so much harder? You need to keep all that information just somewhere up here in the back. Unfortunately, you can't write it down. It's there in front of you. You just gotta use it.
Yep. That's great advice. Awesome. Well, I wish everyone best of luck in their set champs to come. There's a couple more weeks to go. Get your Ursula.
We'll get your Ursula, and thank you, Kevin DeLima.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you, Kevin DeLima. You saved Lorcana for me for this set at least.
And also, Kevin, if you're looking for you want to be a part of a channel, and you want to come on, I'm looking for the true person who came up with this deck, not the fraudster that my brother is.
Okay, but if you're gonna freeze frame a shuffle, that's dedication.
Kevin, I hope you're out there fighting for a box to cover your shuffling. Yeah, because that's absurd what these Lorcana players are doing these days. Theft.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you later. Like and subscribe.